time changes. I'm just having one of those days, unfortunately, where the time that I thought I would have, I did not have. But anyway, we're here now, and so is Eel Reerg. How's it going, buddy?
It's going good, and don't lie to me. I know that you were talking to fucking Rod and fucking Jeffrey and fucking insert a bunch of other names here.
Just say hi and bye. You don't need to talk for 10 minutes. um, so yeah, so anyway, it's been a while. We missed last week, which was once again my fault. But we're here and we've got two chapters to go, which is I feel conflicted. I feel conflicted about that because this is such a piece of shit book that part of me is happy that we're nearly through it, but the other part is it's been fun every week. So
Yeah, I'm gonna miss the rich, deep characters that Lauren has constructed. They really jump off the page for you. I feel lachrymose about ending this.
they do, but yeah, so there's still plenty to talk about even once we're finished, I think. So before we jump in, I just want to say hello to everyone because I know how much that annoys everyone. So g'day Spencer Silvera. G'day Lorne Mother Gwen's Twink Toilet and Javon. And g'day Cybersqueak. Are you fucking kidding me? G'day Zachary Slut Stanford and Legendary Owl. And Mandy Yes and Sad Face 09 and Dr. Cunt and the Duchess of Cornville and Tracy Hamill and Respecter Wildo Dan Jones. And I will link that Lorne reading the book when I can. G'day Winnie's boyfriend slash husband and Lorne's unclimbable ladder. And Trooper grandson Chatchabate Billy and the Time Machine and I think I said hello to Leon Kennedy, but if not, hello Leon and Rachel D and Juniper and Smokey the Cat, who got ambushed by Ruse. Sorry to hear that, Smokey the Cat, but they are feral. And g'day, I died by myself. I did have to throw some shrimp on the barbie. That is the actual reason that I'm so late. And Amy Ramirez, great to see you. And Jason Spears and Anthony R. And Lorne's Wet Salad, still wet. And Duchess. Cool. I think that's everyone. So, anything you want to say before we crack into it, mate?
But yeah, this is chapter 11. So I'm expecting Lauren is very familiar with chapter 11. So I'm expecting this to be the best chapter.
He
I know,
should
I
be
think
all
it's
across this.
yeah, one of us had to make the easy joke, so I thought
No,
I'd take it.
that's good, mate. Always happy for you to take that. Yeah. So pretty much last chapter, what he killed, he killed Amber or Amanda James, as we decided it was. And but she felt sorry for him. She pitied him
Right.
as she was being murdered. Which is very common. Like Lorne has really tapped into a cliche there. I mean, it is. I you don't watch many movies or many kind of even true crime documentaries about murder where it isn't heavily discussed how the victim's last thoughts are of pity for their murderer rather than their loved ones that they'll never see again and the fact that their life is ending. He's really picked up on a trope there. Um, and g'day,
The murderer is the main character.
absolutely, and their thoughts and feelings are what is important. And
That's right.
g'day, Mike James, and Egbert, and Anna Mango. All right, so chapter 11. When Lorne pulled over in the driveway, he could see Kayla doing dishes through the kitchen window. He had put himself through a lot this morning. He had put himself through a lot this morning. You know,
God damn it.
once again, spare a thought for the serial killer here. Like, I mean, those graves don't dig themselves.
That's right.
And obviously,
Actually,
what's that?
wait, didn't he make Oh no, he didn't make her do it. Never mind. I was gonna say, well, they do when you force your murder victim to dig their own grave, but he didn't do that to the woman.
Yeah,
My bad. I'm
and
sorry.
I like at the time I thought like I am surprised that Lorne did that, but that was probably another virtue signaling that he's trying to do through
Yeah,
this book. Like he may be a murderer, but he's not gonna make someone dig their own grave. He's a man. He will be digging the graves. That is not a woman's job.
that's
And
that's
that's
right.
he was raised by his mum, and that's what she taught him. Women do not dig their
Here
own
we go.
graves. You do that for them, Lord. Okay. He put himself through a lot this morning, and the blood would show easily. If Kayla saw the blood on his shirt, he would have to answer questions about it. He didn't see how he could avoid it, though. He took a deep breath and scrambled his brains for an excuse for the blood and knife wound in his ribs. He would tell her that he had been scouting for another place to go hunting, fell down a hill, and his knife came out of a sheath and sliced him when he was tumbling down the hill. Lorne smiled slightly at his excuse, then proceeded into the house. So, and this would be something that Lorne, like, and he would think that that is, he has cracked the code. But he doesn't have to fear because Kayla's a fucking moron. So she will
Yeah,
believe
don't come up
anything.
with any excuse. She wouldn't even notice that he's gotten stabbed. Like
No,
it would take her a full day to there was a lot more blood on his body than usual today.
she'd be
Fuck
getting
you,
she'd be
Kayla.
getting into bed at night, kind of going through the day, like just thinking about, oh, I didn't do the irony today. I'll have to do that tomorrow. What else? Oh, Lorne did have a heap of blood on him. I never asked him about that. I'll have to ask him about that in the morning. And Smokey the cat would like to know if you had a smoothie today.
No, I did not have a smoothie day. Sorry, Smokey. I'll have two tomorrow for you. I'll swing by and grab you one.
Perfect. And a Celsius while you're at it. And
Yeah.
g'day Shins Koala, and that is thank you, sir. That is high praise coming from you because
Yeah,
the
thanks,
reading
man.
that you guys did was the best. Cool. He went into the house. Kayla saw Lorne coming from the kitchen window where she was washing dishes. She braced herself to ask him where he had been for half the night last night and all morning. She had a strange feeling of something going on that maybe she shouldn't ask questions about, but she knew that it was just an inner way to protect herself and an unhealthy way to be. She had to confront him about it. Lorne walked in the door and could immediately tell that Kayla was upset with him. He could feel the coldness coming from her, and it worried him. He walked over to her and noticed the trail of dirt coming off his boots. He ignored it and continued on toward Kayla. He stepped up next to her and gave her a kiss on the cheek, and got nervous when she didn't return it and didn't say anything to him. So, do they usually kiss each other on the cheek, like he kisses her and then she returns and kisses his cheek, like some kind of, I don't know. Uh,
I like. Mm, when's he returning? Like, is because he left early. He left late at last night, right? In the context of the story. So, is he returning? Like, is it like 7 a.m. or
mm,
is it like 11 a.m.? Because it's the morning. But I feel like if you returned at 7 a.m., there'd be like a lot more like, where the fuck have you been? Like, this is
exactly.
an odd hour to be returning home.
But see, I
I don't
view
know.
this as this is a version of a wife or a partner that that Lord wants. Like, he's the one that's been out all night with no explanation whatsoever. I mean, most partners, male or female, would be like, "Where the fuck have you been?" Like,
Yeah.
I've been worried sick about you. Are you fucking someone else? What is going on? Like this, you can't do this. Like most people be ropeable, but he would want the woman that's just patiently washing dishes and having her own, rather than being angry, having her own internal struggle, wondering about, oh, do I
Is he
ask him about it, or
right?
do I let it go? What do I do? Like this is what Lorne views women as.
Yeah, that's the most shocking part about reading this to me is that, like, even when it was good, even when like he's a good friend and a good father and a good husband, quote unquote, giant air quotes around good, all of those things. He's awful. He's a terrible friend to Derek. Derek
Mm,
just serves as a plot device for him. He's a terrible father. I think he's had like one interaction with his child since his
mm,
child's been born. And his child is like 3 years old at this point. We've
mm.
jumped around like 9 months and 6 months and 3 months. His kid is acting like an infant and like, I don't know. And he's also a terrible father, or a husband, rather.
Yeah,
That's the most shocking thing.
well, that's right, but and that's exactly what you're talking about there. Even in his fantasy, he's still a shit
Hmm.
person. Like he could have made this character anything. They could have been an absolute superhero. They could have been the best father, best husband in the world. They could have been everything. I mean, it would have taken him no extra effort than what he'd already put in. But even
Yeah.
what he imagines to be the best version of himself, it's a uh, inattentive, um, quite frankly, absent father and husband who is also a serial killer. Like this is just
Remember the last chapter when his wife went to the grocery store and Aaron was gonna stay at home, or Lorne was gonna stay at home, and she was like, "I'll just take the kid with me to the
yeah,
grocery store instead of leaving it with the father."
yeah,
Like, what the fuck? What an
ex- ex-
asshole.
exactly. And there was no mention of no, leave him with here. It'd be good to have some time with him. It was like, yeah, basically like, damn straight you will,
Get
bitch.
that fucking kid out of my house.
Like he is but he would have but I think the thing that staggers me is he would have written that and he would be like he would be apart from the killings, he would be looking at the character of Aaron as he's a good guy. He's a bit misunderstood. He's got some
Yeah.
issues, but he's a good guy. He doesn't try to kill his kid. Like he
He eats breakfast every
yeah,
morning.
he
Eating
gets
breakfast is next to godliness, apparently, in this book. So
he
that's
loves
great. That's a great
yeah.
character.
He loves his mum probably too much. It's exactly what Lorne thinks a guy should be.
Exactly.
Um, and g'day to Dan's jeans and
Dan's Gene.
um, who else just came in there? And Vexy, g'day Vexy. With the stream routine, yes, the stream routine was way out of whack today. All right, let's go on. Honey, are you all right? Lorne asked. No, Kayla returned sharply. Lorne was taken aback by the irritated tone in Kayla's voice and began to grow more nervous. What's wrong? He asked with a growing interest. What's wrong is that you left early this morning without leaving a note to tell me where you were going and when you'd be back. I want to know what's going on, Kayla demanded. Nothing is going on, Lorne replied. I just felt like going out for a drive because I woke up from a bad dream and didn't want to wake you and Brad. So you stayed away all night? Kayla said, disbelieving. I went out looking for a place to go hunting too. I wasn't doing anything wrong, Lord lied. Just the fact that he says I wasn't doing anything wrong means you were doing something wrong. Kayla was about to yell out again until she suddenly noticed blood all over Lorne's shirt. Oh my god, Lorne! You're bleeding bad, she exclaimed in fright. It's alright. I fixed it once. It just needs a new bandage on it, Lorne said
What?
calmly.
Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. Somebody says, "Oh my God, you're bleeding bad." You go, "Oh,
Yeah,
the context is what happened? Why are you bleeding bad?" Oh, it's fine. I fixed it already. I'll just get another bandage. Like, no, no, no. I need more context about why you're bleeding. You went out for a drive? What the fuck are you talking about? You're bleeding.
exactly. Like, did you crash? Like, how is how have you gotten blood all over yourself? And g'day, medium syllables and Lorne's burn phone and kelp pill. What happened? Kayla asked as she began moving his shirt to remove the bandage to look at his wound. I fell down a hill. My knife came out of the sheath and cut me as I was falling. Lorne recited his planned explanation.
Why did he fall out down a hill? He was driving. What a fucking 87. He can't even when he's being the person like like catching him in a lie. He can't even construct a good lie.
Yeah,
What an ass.
exactly. Like, because he said he decided to hunt, go for a new hunting spot, but like, I
He
saw,
just went for a drive. He said earlier. He said I couldn't sleep. Okay. I went
yeah.
out
Then he
looking for
said,
another hunting
yeah.
place,
So I guess
or
he was,
another place to go hunting to. But he didn't say he went hiking.
no,
Like,
no,
what
that's
the fuck
exactly
are you
right.
talking about?
And g'day,
Oh God.
g'day, freaky gyrations. Kayla gave an
Sorry.
Kayla gave an
I'm sorry.
apologetic. That's all right, mate. An apologetic look before cleaning his wound. Before cleaning his wound, and her eyes began to tear up. Lorne saw that she was about to cry. Don't cry, honey. You had every reason to be upset. I'm sorry I didn't write you a note before I left, Lorne said as he gave Kayla a kiss. So he's concerned that she might be crying because she believes she's acted irrational. Like, rather than, that, she might be crying because, she's
You're
concerned about,
bleeding?
well, that he's bleeding, that he's got a fucking knife wound to his ribs, that he is very clearly lying, and she's now wondering, well, if that's the excuse, what is actually going on? No, she's must be crying because she's just a silly girl and she's acted all crazy. Don't be embarrassed, Kayla. Let me give you a kiss to make you feel better. I'm a
Yeah, and
big
also
strong man.
apparently, like, without telling the audience, Lorne is completely aware at this point in the story of what he's doing. He remembers murdering the person enough
Mhm.
to make up a lie about it,
Mhm.
and he lied about it. So without a clear time where he started remembering things, I guess it happened when he murdered the person last night. I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, that's right, and that is a good point there. So he's obviously clearly, without any explanation, he's just gone away from the whole, I I'm having, out of body experiences, or I'm having like blackouts and this stuff's happening. Now he's just, because obviously if you had blacked out, you'd be like, holy fuck, there's a hole in my ribs. What,
Right.
what happened here? Um, and I died by myself makes a good point. To be fair, if you've made the decision to be with Lorne, you're not going to ask too many questions. And that is a good point.
Yeah, you got us there.
And g'day, night driver. I'm not a driver at night. It was then. Oh no, sorry. Lorne lost himself in thought as Kayla quietly cleaned his wound. He couldn't believe he had gotten away with it. He barely got away with it, but he did. He had almost
He
lost
got
the.
away with it?
Hey?
What?
Well, yeah,
She,
because
that's all it took?
yeah, that's right. He said this stupid excuse, and now she's crying because she's realised that she's just a silly woman. Like that's where
Oh my God.
Lorne's headed is right now. And g'day, Nirvana Junkie 19. um, he had almost lost Amanda James, and now Kayla had questioned him about his absence this morning. He'd have to be more careful in the future. It was then that Lorne realised that this was no longer something he could avoid. The things that had happened to him in Iraq had made him the man he is today. The Lorne that was the Lorne that he once was had been taken abroad. What the fuck?
All right, close your books, everyone. That's
That
the end of the story. You hit the title. There we go.
fucking hell.
That
The
doesn't make any
Lorne
fucking sense either.
No. The Lorne that he once was had been taken abroad. Like even just
Okay, so
that sentence suggests that like he was taken there, not that was left behind there because he was so messed up at the time. It's just stupid. Like
yeah,
and you
left
can
abroad would make more sense.
yeah, but like you can see that I can bet that when Lorne wrote that he thought,
Oh my
fucking
God.
hell, you are a genius, Lorne. That
Yeah,
is
oh, absolutely.
so good. He was no
Read the
longer
next line. It's so wonderful.
he was no
It's my
longer
favorite line.
safe to be in population.
What the fuck? Who thinks
Now,
that? Who thinks, man, I'm no longer safe to be in a population? What the fuck?
so- but I mean that is fair. Lorne is not safe to be in population. Like It's a weird way to put it, but he is not safe to be around other people. There. I'll probably have to change it again tonight before we go to bed, Kayla told Lorne. Lorne just sat there with his arms still up in the air, lost in thought, not hearing anything Kayla had to say, which is pretty typical. Lorne, Kayla spoke again but failed to get Lorne's attention. Lorne! She spoke louder. Lorne snapped out of it and turned his attention to Kayla. What? He yelled. Kayla was startled and stepped back at the tone in Lorne's voice and the look in his eyes. For the first time since she'd known Lorne, she felt threatened and worried. Well, she's done well, to be fair. Like, if you've known Lorne for at, at least probably 4 or 5 months, maybe more, because this jumps in months, the time frame here. You've known Lorne for this long and this is the first time you felt threatened and worried. Well, count yourself lucky, Kayla.
Well, I'm sure that Lorne is going to apologize tomorrow and remind her that she controls him. And so really, it's her fault that she was feeling threatened. So this is no big deal for her, Bill.
I just, that your bandages changed. She didn't tell him again that it would need to be changed again that night before bed because something told her that he may not be there that night. Lorne looked down at his new bandage, but he put his shirt back down and got up and left. He knew he had to leave. If he didn't, his family would be in danger. He turned and looked at Kayla, shook his head, and walked out the door towards his car. Lorne? Kayla spoke quietly. Lorne, she said louder as she ran out the door after him. But so he's put question marks there. She's clearly like following after him, like Lorne, like it should be exclamation marks, but he's put question marks like Lorne, is that you? She caught up to him.
I am so confused.
Yeah. So my
what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, so my take on it is he's like, oh shit, I can't be in population, so he's fled the house, and she's running after him like, Lorne, like once again, what the fuck's going on, dipshit? But he's put, Lorne, Kayla said louder.
Okay.
She caught up to him and stopped him from walking by. Sorry, she caught up to him and stopped him from walking by standing in front of him. Where are you going? She asked desperately. I have to leave, Kayla. I don't know what's going on with me, but I'm changing, and I don't feel it's safe for me to be around you and Brad right now, Lorne explained. We can make it all right. If you go for intense therapy again, it will help. I don't want you to leave, Kayla said desperately as she grabbed Lorne's arm while he tried to walk past her. Lorne turned around and slapped Kayla's face hard, making her fall to the ground. She looked up at him in shock as an evil look came over his face again. Oh, I'm going to go for intense therapy again, but this time it will be me that gives the intense therapy, he said in a threatening tone.
Boom! Got him. That's the one-liner. Oh, man. Did Shane Black do some rewrites on this script? Oh, man. Oh, it's me that's going to go for some intense therapy now, baby. This is a Rambo movie? This is so good. Wow.
It is.
Ooh, give me chills. Oh, my God. Oh.
It has now turned into a Rambo movie. This time it'll be me that gives the intense therapy. And, g'day, B.A. Hoss. Kayla sat with her hand on her cheek and tears welling up in her eyes as she watched Lorne get into his car and drive away. She saw her life and love slipping away. The love she thought would never end was coming to an end. Great work, Lorne. She knew that Lorne had been acting not different. Fuck off! Like, this is simple proofreading. She knew that Lorne had been acting different lately, but she didn't realise just how different he had become. She didn't think he was cheating on her with another woman, but she couldn't explain what he was doing when he left the house in the middle of the night. Maybe he's cheating with another man. Was he really out looking for a new place to hunt? Questions became a puzzle.
No. How fucking stupid are you, Kayla?
She is very, very stupid.
Well, maybe he was telling the truth, and his behavior this morning is completely unrelated to him leaving last night and coming home with a stab wound. Maybe, who knows? She's putting the puzzle pieces together.
She's trying. Questions became a puzzle that she couldn't find the answers to fit. And what did he mean when he said he would be the one giving the intense therapy? Nothing made sense to her. She collected herself, then picked herself up off the ground and headed into the house and began packing Lorne's clothes, crying the whole time. Once she had them packed,
Why?
she Hey?
Why is she packing his clothes?
Um, I don't know. That's yeah, I don't know actually. Um,
Okay.
because he's just said basically,
This
I
makes no
can't.
sense.
No, like so. Okay, so recapping here, he's run out of the house. She's tried to stop him. He has said, I can't be around you and Brad at the moment because I'm worried I'm going to hurt you. Essentially, he didn't. I mean that would be
No, no, no.
more.
Wait. No, no, no. First, he comes home and he's aware of what he did, and he's
Mm,
like, "Hey." He gives her a kiss, and then she's kind of suspicious, and it takes her a odd amount of time to notice that he's bleeding. And then he sits down on the couch, and then she goes, "Hey, Lorne," and then he goes, "Oh my God, I'm not safe to be around you guys. I'm gonna leave." And then he doesn't respond to his wife calling, and then he hits her, and then he's about to leave, and then she wonders if something suspicious is going on. So it's not he comes home and then he has the revelation that he's too dangerous. It's he comes home, he thinks he can get away with it. He sits down on the couch, and for some reason, that triggers him to think he's too dangerous to be around his kid. Does he come out of like a funk or like a blackout period there? We don't know. I don't know
mm.
what's happening. She's packing his clothes for no reason. This whole chapter, you need to put it in the garbage, Lauren. It doesn't make any sense.
And so are we to assume that she's kicking him out? Like basically because.
He's leaving.
But he just said he
What?
can't be around right now. Like he wasn't like I'm going for 3 months. Like
Is she gonna like pack up all of his? I assume most of it's his stuff. We haven't heard anything about her having a job, so is she just gonna like toss his clothes out on the front yard as like a spectacle to like,
I
hey,
mean,
don't go
I
back. I don't know.
assume she only has a few pair of clothes and they're all grandma clothes because
Oh God,
she wouldn't want other guys finding her
that's right.
attractive. And g'day Logan W who says, "Are you cheating on me with murder?" And g'day Anno Rourke. Okay, packing his shit, crying the whole time. Once she had them packed, she placed them outside so Lorne wouldn't have to come inside to get them. After that was done, she
Okay.
changed the lock on the door and then called Lorne's mum to let her know what had happened. She offered to come over and be with Kayla, but Kayla felt like being alone with Brad for the night. She had a lot of thinking to do. Okay, so she has kicked him out. After
Okay.
she got Trevor in bed and asleep, she turned. But I guess just the dialogue didn't make a lot of sense. Like basically, she was begging him to stay, and and he's like, I'm dangerous or whatever. And it's like, well, we can work it out. You can get more intense therapy. Um, and he slept. So which is like, don't get me wrong, it's completely reasonable, but that Kayla would kick him out because A, it's Lorne,
Sure.
and B, he just
Right.
slapped her. But there was no, you know what I mean? You would assume that if that was going to
She
happen,
should have. There should have been a line where she went, "If you leave right now, I'm kicking you out and I'm
exactly,
changing the locks on the doors. Like,
exactly,
let me know what the
exactly what I
fuck is
was,
happening."
yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Like there was nothing to let the reader know that was going to happen. And like you say, I mean, they're having this dialogue. He hasn't like evaporated. Like he was still there. Like any it would have been something along the lines of, yeah, if you ever slap me again and if you leave right now, you're done. Don't come back. You know, there was none of
Yeah,
that. It was
that's how
just,
two people would argue
yeah,
instead
yeah,
of two third graders, like these two people
yeah.
apparently have the mental capacity of.
It was just quiet tears, you know, neatly packing his stuff, not just throwing that shit out and then just, you know, changing the locks, which, you know, also, how did the locks get changed? Did she get a locksmith in? I mean, because I don't get the impression that Kayla can tie her shoelaces, so I'm not going to assume that she can change locks herself. So how did that happen? Uh, anyway,
Yeah, maybe in a previous life she was a locksmith. Maybe that's how she afforded this house. Because apparently this is her house, and Lauren moved in with her after they got married, and
mm,
somehow she afforded the house. And I'd also like to point out Gorilla's fun.
I'm
I'm
sitting,
sitting on my ass in my chair.
I'm sitting on my ass in my chair. Uh,
I imagine that's how Lorne's mom in this story responds
yeah,
every time Kayla
exactly.
calls.
Yeah, would you like me to come over? No, no, I think I just want to be with Brad. Well, that's good, because I'm sitting on my ass in my chair, eating my sweets. um, okay, so she's changed. Well, look, maybe Kayla, before she met Lorne, was like some kind of master locksmith, and
Exactly.
changed locks for the president. So that's where she's gotten all this money from. But she had some kind of like brain injury while changing locks. Maybe she was in the middle of changing a lock and someone
Oh
opened a
yeah.
door into her head, and it's caused her now to be stupid. But what she does retain is her locksmithing skills. It's like
Okay, that sounds like a more interesting story than this.
it yes, and it isn't interesting. That isn't a good story, but it is more interesting than this. Um, cool. Okay. After she got Brad in bed and asleep, she turned on the evening news. They began with a story about a lady missing from the night before. Her car was still parked at her work, but she was nowhere to be found. Then they moved to a guy that was missing from the car that went off the road. Kayla watched the news up to the weather report, then retired to bed. She laid in bed for 2 hours with her eyes closed, not being able to fall asleep. Her eyes opened quickly as she remembered back to the news report of the missing lady with her car still in the parking lot of her work. No, Kayla said out loud to herself. Lorne's been acting different lately, but he wouldn't do anything like that. Her mind began to fill with doubt as she recalled the look in his eyes earlier that day and the way he hit her. He had never hit her before. He had never even gotten mad at her before. Tears began to fall from her eyes again as she remembered the man Lorne was when she married him. She wiped her eyes and decided that she had to face reality. Lorne was no longer the man she married, and she no longer knew what he was capable of doing. Should she call her mother-in-law and tell her the thoughts that was running through her head? That was running through her head. Fucking Jesus. No, because Lorne's mother would only tell her that it wasn't possible because he was her son. He is my son. Kayla got up from her bed and hesitated as she reached for the phone. She pulled her hand back as she took a deep breath to pull up her courage. Is that the expression? Pull up your courage.
The rising gorge of courage was coming out.
After letting out the air, she relaxed her shoulders and reached for the phone. She dialed the local police station. Did you want to take over for a bit, mate?
Yeah, sure. All right. Lorne
Just
drove
before
to
you
his
do,
psychiatrist's house.
g'day, primitive blue goo.
Lorne drove to his psychiatrist's house and parked on the side of the road. Watching the house, he began thinking about the sessions he'd had with the psychiatrist. The way he tried to Lorne's thoughts. I mean, is that correct? To Lorne's thoughts? Does that say that in your copy? Sorry, I'll keep going.
No. Oh, yeah, it does say that. Yeah, the way he tried to Lorne's thoughts around. It must be meant to be turn. But that's weird.
It's definitely Tom. I got my face really close to the screen to make sure that it wasn't turn.
Tom.
It's Tom.
But I'm guessing in the
yeah.
The proofreading that apparently him and 5 other people did, that looks like it could be an R.
It was close enough.
Yeah, why not?
You know what would have been interesting is if we got some of these interactions. That would make for like an epic climax between two characters that we've seen in the past, not just introducing a new one at the end. But whatever, what do I know? The way he tried to Lorne's thoughts around so that Lorne could forget the enemies in Iraq. Lorne didn't want to forget the enemies in Iraq. He wanted to kill them all. In the time he'd been skipping going to his therapy sessions, he'd resented the psychiatrist for trying to take his thoughts away from him. I don't know what that means, but okay.
But okay, this makes absolutely no sense. This whole fucking book, since he started having the nightmares, all he has talked about is how upset he is with the thoughts he's having, how he wants them to go away. Like, Every time he wakes up from a nightmare, he's so mad at what's happening. All he's wanted is for this to stop. But now apparently, like the psychiatrist, greatest sin with, spoiler alert, I think we all know what's going to happen to the psychiatrist. His greatest sin was trying to help him get rid of the thoughts that he's wanted to get rid of. All of a sudden, he doesn't want to get rid of them. But at no point has that said that. This is the first time he said that. At no point has he said he started to like the thoughts. He started to. The whole time it has been, I don't want to lose my family. I don't want to lose the man I am. Now it's like, fuck you for trying to help me, asshole. Like,
Yeah, and also like he can't be helped. There's just no helping him. Even trying to help, it's just pointless and useless because he can't. He's so damaged. He can't change the person that he is inside, except for with the love of a woman. But even that didn't do very much. So there's no point in trying to seek out help because he can't be sound like anyone you know.
exactly.
Anyway,
It does sound a lot like someone I know. And g'day, Aussie Pines.
yeah. He no longer gave second thoughts to anything he was doing. He no longer felt the guilt, only the urge and need to kill the enemy. It didn't matter that they weren't really an enemy, for in Lorne's eyes, any abnormal thought about someone made them the enemy. Lorne. The abnormal thought about someone made them the enemy.
I don't think
What
anyone
abnormal
has.
thoughts is he having about the psychiatrist?
Well, yeah.
Sexual, Lorne?
I don't know anyone that has ever thought like this. Like, this is
Me
just
neither. A lot of
bizarre.
these lines in this book are like original sentences that no human has ever thought of. You know what I mean? Like that one earlier, he was like, "I no longer belong in population." What?
Exactly. Like, I mean, I mean, in his, to his credit, he would never get done for plagiarism. Like, most of these lines have,
right.
most of these words have never been put together in these sentences ever.
Very original. Not good, but
No.
very original. Lorne waited patiently and smoked this. Wait, what? Um, Lorne waited patiently and smoked a cigarette as he watched. Oh, he's waiting in his car, I guess. Lorne waited patiently and smoked a cigarette as he watched the lights to the house go out at 9 p.m. He waited another hour, then made his move. Walking calmly across the paved road, he made his way up the center of the long drive to the front door, only to find it locked. He had no problem picking the lock, even though he had to work by moonlight. He slowly opened the big door and stepped inside. After quietly closing the door behind him, he began moving towards the staircase. He placed his foot on the first step and hoped none of the steps would creak on his way up. In the quiet of the house, Lorne felt he could hear his own heartbeat. His anxiety was growing, and the rush of adrenaline excited him as he thought about the outcome. Before he was able to reach the second step, the telephone rang. Lorne froze in his position when he heard the psychiatrist's voice answering the phone call. He listened closely as he heard the psychiatrist talking.
So just
Dr. Jeff's
just what we we're talking about before with, Kayla's acquired brain injury, that
yeah.
I just find he picked the lock, easily. So this further this further goes to my theory of that because, perhaps Kayla, with the one skill she had, left, has taught him how to pick locks.
Yeah. It's like when you're dating, hey, let's do something that you enjoy, and I'll see if I enjoy it too, and let's do something that I enjoy. And you see, so maybe she they took like a lock picking course together because she was like an expert, and she could share her passion with her husband. Yeah, I think you're right about the thing. That's wow, you're like a literary genius. That's really good. Dr. Jeffs woke up. Yeah, Dr. Jeffs woke up irritated at the phone ringing at such a late hour. He slowly reached over and turned the lamp on next to his bed, then picked up the phone. How does Lorne know that?
Hey, g'day, one of those weirdos.
The perspectives from this book shift at such strange intervals. Hello, Dr. Jeffs answered groggily. Hello, is this Dr. Jeffs? The voice on the other end of the line asked. Yes, Dr. Jeffs answered.
Jesus.
Who is this? It's Officer Randall with the Bloomington Police Department. Do you have a patient by the name of Lorne Armstrong? Dr. Jeffs heard some sort of urgency in the officer's voice. Yes, I do. What's this all about, officer? His wife called here, and she believes that Lorne's gone crazy and is hunting you down. She said he'd been acting strangely lately, and that he hadn't been going to his appointments with you. She believes that he's very dangerous, Officer Randall finished. Lorne Armstrong's wife called you? Dr. Jeffs asked. What? Why would that be what you asked? Oh, really?
Exactly. You've just been told that, one of your patients wants to kill you, and you're like, she called you? What?
Do you guys know each
thanks
other?
very
How
much,
did you get your
officer.
number? Okay. Yes, sir. She's worried that he's probably in your area now. Why wouldn't they go to his house? It sounds urgent. Go to his fucking house. Don't give him a call. Hey, I think a sociopath is coming to your house to murder you. So, would you? Oh my God, the next line. Would you like for us to send an officer to patrol your area? Why are they putting it in Dr. Jeff's hands? What the police do? They have good reason to suspect a murder is going to take place, and they're like, "Do you think we should investigate it, or what do you think?"
Exactly. I mean, you can already, see the inquest that happens, after, once again, not meaning to spoil anything, but after Dr. Jeff's death, the inquest into the, the coronial inquest is like, so, once you advised Dr. Jeffs that this, serial killer was after him, did you not send a patrol to patrol the area to ensure his safety? Well, I asked him, and he said he didn't want it. Like, oh, okay then.
That's right. You're fired. Give me your gun and your badge. Get the fuck out of here.
What the fuck do you expect me to do?
Officer Randall, what the fuck?
And g'day to Jerry Anthony and Lorenzic Files and the poem that Lorne wrote. Took a while to get this loan approved.
No, I don't think that will be necessary, the doctor replied. Why? Just, yeah, yeah, if you think that I'm in danger, please come to my house. No, I think it'll be fine. He seemed stable. I remember when he first came into my office and I told him, you'll never get better. There's no point in trying. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Exactly. Okay. And also, when the officer answered, he says that Dr. Jeffs heard some sort of urgency in the officer's voice. So, you assume that he's kind of like, this is Officer Randall, the Bloomington Police Department. Do you have a patient by the name of Lorne Armstrong? And then he's just like, no, I don't need any help.
We think he may be coming to your house to murder you. Do you want us to swing by? No, I don't think so.
Okay, that's cool then. Have a good night.
That's literally what he says. The next slide. Okay, well, I do recommend that you check your locks on your doors before going to bed. And if you find you need us, then please don't hesitate to call. If he's actively murdering you, please give us a call, Officer Randall urged. Thank you. Dr. Jeffs hung up the phone. Told his wife what he was going. Dr. Jeffs hung up the phone, told his wife what was going on, then decided to get up to check the locks on the doors in the house. Okay, good to know that he has a wife.
Yep.
Closing the bedroom door behind him, Dr. Jeffs moved sleepily towards the chairs, with the darkness surrounding him. Stepping heavily down the stairs, he flipped the light switch to the on position. The on position. When he reached the bottom, there was no way he could have known that Lorne was waiting for him to turn the lights on. He felt the sharp pain slicing upward from his abdomen and into his heart. As he tried to focus his unwavering eyes on Lorne, then looked down at the knife Lorne had forced into him. The blood began to flow in a small stream from his mouth, and his knees began to falter as the light in the room began to grow dim. Why? For ambiance? Is this one of those slide lights?
This is it's just stupid.
I think what he's saying is he has a light, it's one of those slide lights, it gets brighter and darker the more you slide it. And while he's being stabbed by Lorne through his abdomen up to his heart, he's still got his hand on the slide light. And as he begins falling down from losing consciousness from blood loss, his hand moves down the slide light to make the atmosphere of the room grow dim. That's what I think is happening here.
I
Just the stupidest fucking thing.
I think you could be right, but I also think he has just started talking from the dying psychiatrist perspective rather than his own, which the whole book has been written in.
Yeah.
Because he's saying the blood began to flow in a small stream from his mouth and his knees began to falter as the light in the room began growing dim. So I think he's describing how the
Oh.
psychiatrist would be seeing things as he is dying. I mean,
Oh my God.
it's
Why?
completely ridiculous. It makes absolutely no sense because the whole book he has written it from his own perspective. So he could not possibly know what the psychiatrist was seeing as he was dying, but I think that's what he's done. But
So the light in the room didn't grow dim. It was just he's losing consciousness.
yes,
It's
so
the
the
light
light's
did.
growing dim
Yeah.
as he loses consciousness. It's fucking ridiculous. This whole scenario is fucking ridiculous. Like there is no reason that he would be wanting to kill
Oh my
Dr.
God.
Jeffs. It also flies in the face. Like he was just picking random people to kill. Like
Right.
it's just stupid. Like I don't know if Lorne got beat up in prison, but he should have got beaten up for this fucking book. I mean, not as much as he should have got beaten up for trying to fuck a kid, but there should have been a part of this. If anyone read this, they should have just kicked the shit out of him. This is shit.
I would be so embarrassed if I like if I wrote this in third grade, I'd be embarrassed. If for an adult, for a 37-year-old, fuck this.
Like I can't believe
Lauren
he
removed the
published
knife.
it. Like yes, he didn't get this published.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like a self-publishing kind of thing. And like this is, to be honest, and I mean if you believe what Lorne said that Mama Gwen encouraged him to finish it and get it published. I mean, that could well be shit. That could just be another thing where Lorne tries to
It is.
say, "Look how much my mother loves me," where she actually doesn't. But if she did, that convinces me even more that she fucking hates him because anyone that had any care for Lorne would have read this and would have been like, you know, I'm just going to keep this. I love this so much, but I think it's best if it'd be really special if I could have it and this doesn't get published to save them from the fucking embarrassment that this is.
Yeah, you could let somebody down gently. I don't think Mama Gwen encouraged him to publish this.
I don't think so at all.
She gave him. I think she knew he was writing a book or whatever. And then she gave him like some seed money to start up again after he got out. He interpreted that in his own fucked up ways, like, "Oh, she really believes in me and my writing skills."
And it'd be like
Asshole.
we've heard the conversations they had where he says something and
Yeah.
she basically doesn't actively argue about it, so he takes that as like enthusiastic. It'd probably just be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh, Mama, I think I'm gonna get it published." Like, okay, 'cause, I think it'd be really good. I think everyone really like it. Okay. They're like, "Oh, she really wants me to get this published." All right, Mum, I will publish it. Okay, I will publish it.
You're really good at that Mama Gwen impression, I must say. You're very good.
It's like the only impression I can do. Like, and that is typical me. That the one impression I can do reasonably well is motherfucking Gwen. Like, you know what I mean?
Like I'm a little suspicious that you might be Mama Gwen, but
I wonder
I'll
if I
push
could
those suspicions to the
I wonder if I
side.
could catfish Lorne pretending to be Mama Gwen. That would be fun.
Ooh, that's
And just
good. I like that.
give him shit as Mama Gwen. That would be a lot of fun. But then I'd have to talk to him, so
Well,
that'll be not fun. And g'day to
look into it,
Clinton
cool.
Barella and Weird Versions and Salty Robot. I haven't heard that name before. And yes, this is the last. Well, this is the second last chapter. And Robert Osland. Back to you.
Lorne removed the knife from Dr. Jeffs and caught him as he was falling to position him over his shoulder. Yeah.
What?
He adjusted the now. Okay, so I guess he's falling towards Lorne, and Lorne just kind of like moves his shoulder a little bit
Oh,
to make sure.
he caught him and put it. Okay, fucking hell.
Sounds like he's gonna have a lot of blood on his shoulder, but okay. He adjusted the now dead psychiatrist, then stumbled with the weight of the door and found his way to his car. I guess Mrs. Dr. Jeffs didn't hear any of this. He opened the truck to his car and unloaded the psychiatrist inside. After closing the trunk, he got in the driver's seat and drove off towards his personal burying ground in the woods.
And
Really close
g'day,
to his home.
a very appropriate name. Ma Gwen's fat ass chair. G'day to you. But I mean, that's the other thing that's just occurred to me. Like, we're having fun going through this and basically picking apart how ridiculous this is. But just with even like, put the storyline aside. Like, let's imagine this is a perfectly functional, believable storyline. How poorly this is written with punctuation and like how. Like, could you imagine actually reading this? Like, I mean, when I read, I like to get lost in the book, yeah? I mean, every
Yeah.
couple of sentences, you have to go back and read again to try to figure out what you're actually trying to read. It'd be
Yeah.
a nightmare.
Like, dude, I'm genuinely not trying to be like a nitpicking asshole, but it's impossible. Literally every single paragraph, I'm like, what the
Literally.
fuck are you talking about? Literally,
Exactly.
every paragraph, I have a problem. It's 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 relentless in its incompetence.
And like,
Um,
I actually genuinely gave thought to just doing like a straight reading of this, like, just like as a bit like of an audiobook if people wanted to listen to it. But I don't like know if I could, because if I was
how
going
could
to,
you?
I would have to actually rewrite it. Like, I'd have to go through first and fix up the punctuation, and or else I would be doing that. I'd be kind of stuttering and going backwards the whole time. And that seems like a lot of fucking work to do for this piece of shit.
And how can you not? I mean, honestly, when you're like everything doesn't make any fucking sense. How could you read this with a straight face without voicing frustrations?
It'd
I
be
mean, the only
very
thing that this
difficult.
book would be good for is like a stress ball. Like if you just wanted to fucking get some anger out, that's what this book is great for.
Exactly.
Um, Lauren thought about the psychiatrist's conversation on the phone with the policeman. There was only one way they could have known. He heard the doctor say Lauren's wife. Yeah, he couldn't believe it. How could she betray him like this? He hit her. He never would have believed that she would become the enemy. But now she has, and Lorne would have to take care of that. Wife or no wife, the enemy must die. That
Fuck.
should be the title of the book. The enemy must die.
And
What's that
and
one?
all jokes aside, that would have actually been a good title for this book, much better than Taken Abroad. Like,
Yeah,
because honestly,
totally.
when I first heard he'd written a book and I heard the name was Taken Abroad, like, this is not what I thought the story would be. Like, I thought something like a more of a kind of like a Taken, the Liam Neeson movie kind of thing, like someone that's kidnapped overseas or something, or someone that is kidnapped and take, like, you know what I mean? Like, taken a
Well,
like
I would think it'd be like a romantic novel about like, a single woman in her 30s traveling through Europe. Like she's traveling abroad, and then she's also the broad that's being taken. It's like a sexual exploration. She's sleeping with a bunch of different European dudes or something. That's what I would think of
yeah,
taken
yeah, okay,
abroad. I
yeah, yeah.
mean,
Well, that's right. But it is not what it is. Yeah, like, I mean, there's probably a
right?
fair few things it
Yeah.
could have been, but not this.
It's not that.
And g'day, Lulu
When
Bob
Lauren got
19.
to his when Lauren got to his personal cemetery, he was exhausted. He flopped the dead psychiatrist from his shoulder onto the ground at the head of the previous victim and laid down at the foot of the nearest tree and fell fast asleep. Okay. He awoke a few hours later. He left in the morning and got to the psychiatrist's house. Oh, at night. Oh, okay. Okay. He had a long day just sitting in his car. He awoke a few hours later to find it still dark and now beginning to rain lightly. He decided that he had better get the grave dug and the body buried before it rained too much. All the time he was digging, his shovel is at his house because he brought it home, right?
Mhm.
He, oh, okay. He magically, spontaneously conjured a shovel out of nothing. All the time he was digging, his thoughts kept going back to the conversation the psychiatrist had with the policeman over the phone and mentioning Lorne's wife. That made Lorne mad and more determined that Kayla must pay for her betrayal. After he had the body buried, he plunged a small American flag into the ground at the head of the grave and began the journey back to his car. It was almost daylight now, and he would be taking a big risk going to his and Kayla's house right now to make Kayla pay. He'd better wait until morning when it was. Oh, he'd better wait until tonight when it was dark again. Until then, he'd park his car in an empty drive just down the road from where he was now and catch up on some much needed sleep.
Fucking hell. And
Quite
that is the end of the chapter.
a chapter.
And g'day, Bunny. So what do you want to do? Do you want to go on to 12 or save 12 to finish up next week?
I kind of want 12 to be its own thing.
Yeah, I do too. It's the last.
I know it was kind of short, but yeah.
No, I reckon I agree. I reckon let's do that. So essentially, all that happened this chapter, and this is like, why did this chapter have to be so short when the others were so fucking long? But basically, he's killed the psychiatrist. That's pretty much what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, he returned home, had a spat with his wife for no reason, and then murdered a psychiatrist.
Yeah, like, and managed to kill him while his wife was in the house and awake because they had just spoken. Like, the phone had just rung. He got off the phone to say what had happened. He's like, I'm going to go and make sure the doors are locked. And then he was violently and brutally murdered. Yet apparently his wife was none the wiser. I just which is
Wives are
normal.
Stupid, Cornville. So
well, they are.
Yeah.
Probably heard him. Screaming or whatever as he was dying. Like, oh, he must have kicked his toe. Oh, he'll be back soon.
He whacked his toe on the banister.
Silly Dr. Jeffs. He whacked his skull. It's just like those fucking handicap episodes that we were watching.
Oh my god.
So that was a clusterfuck of an episode of not even an episode shit of a chapter, I must say. But yeah, so we'll leave it there. So next week we have the last chapter, chapter 12, and then I think we might do a couple of streams after that, kind of recapping and just continuing to discuss this clusterfuck, because I am having trouble letting it go, to be honest.
And I got shit to say about it, so there we go.
There we go. All right, so before we head off, anything you wanted to say or anything?
No. Jorlai's over, so
I'm
sad about that.
It is over. It was a good July. I thought, like,
it was
the best one we've had so far. A lot more people into it in terms of streaming, and also I think there was a lot more people into it, watching in chats and stuff. I remember the last one, a lot of it was kind of like, who's this guy? Why is this funny? But I feel like everyone's getting across it now, which is nice. So thank you very much for being here, guys. Once again, I apologise for all the stuffing around with the stream times, but I'm glad you guys could hang in there and be here with us. As usual, it's you guys that make this fun. Without you, it would just be Eel and I talking to each other. So it'd just be like a normal day, essentially. So this is what makes it special. All right, guys. So I think I might be doing a stream or two, for the rest of the week. So I hope to see you there. And don't forget to delete your archives. Bye.